minute to log on here. Hello. Whisper to the Screams Cryptid podcast. Welcome. Kevin Jeffrey, welcome. Ryan Henderson. Have you ever checked out Bigfoot in the Woods Terror podcast? I'm going to. It's Ryan. Yeah, I think they changed the name of their podcast. I like it. Whisper to a Scream in the Woods. I can attest to that a few times. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. It's been a while since I've put out a... it's been a while since I've put out a live stream and put out any videos in general. Personally, my wife and I were shopping for houses. And came real close. We're in escrow. It ended up felling out, which is fine. My 4-year-old daughter went back to school. So, so I've just been very busy, and this kind of got pushed to the wayside, and found myself on a Friday night tonight with not a lot else going on. So I wanted to talk to you guys. First off, first order of business. The channel's not dead. We are going to Whisper to the Scream. Guess we got to pay to see your ugly mug. Good to see you again. You don't have to pay me anything. I do appreciate the super chat. I'm not that ugly, am I? Thanks, Ryan. So I was scrolling through Amazon Prime, and I'm cheap, so I never bought it before, but the Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp film, Hunt for the Skinwalker, was on. It was kind of a 2019-2020 update on what was been going on at the Skinwalker Ranch all these years. And it's a good documentary. If you have Prime, I recommend you watch it, along with the one that I was on, Don't Call Me Bigfoot, is the one I was heavily involved with. You can see my interviews there. You like the goatee? Yeah, well, the full beard was getting too gray, so I had to do something. So the goatee's kind of been where I've been at for a while. I'm thinking for Halloween, maybe doing a cowboy with just the mustache and soul patch. Anyway, did a review on that doc when it was on Hulu. Yeah, I know. Hey, Aaron, haven't seen you in a long time, fellow Orange County person. And it's also, as in Aaron style, I have cheap wine tonight. I seem distracted whenever I do one of these. The cat comes over. I'm petting her right now and has to make her presence known. Maybe I'll pick her up in a minute. Anyway, so I finally saw Hunt for the Skinwalker. I've known a lot of inside people, people in the paranormal world, a lot of people in the cryptid world who have actually been there and talked to these people. And it's a story I've been following since the early 2000s, back to the Art Bell days, listening on Coast to Coast AM, when all that story was kind of breaking and following through the years. Hunt for the Skinwalker is a very good documentary. It tells the story of the new owner. There's not a lot of new information, honestly. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was kind of hoping to hear new scary stories and stuff, and it was kind of rehashing some of the old stories. You kind of got to see what the ranch looked like now. I would love to go. I've kind of got unofficially invited a couple times to go to Skinwalker Ranch, and it was last year when my dad was, hey, Robert, when my dad was very sick, and as you know, he passed away last year. So I got invited to a lot of cool stuff in 2019. There was another property in Florida I got invited to that was very similar to Skinwalker Ranch. I never ended up going to that. That one sounded downright scary. I don't know at what point am I allowed to talk about the stories I've heard there, but there are more than one area in the United States and across the world that has Skinwalker Ranch type stuff, where UFOs, strange lights, cryptozoological phenomenon, strange creatures, poltergeist activity. It's not just at that place. And the more I hear, the more stories that go about. It seems that, as this ball of Earth spins through space, different parts of this country seem to have areas of high strangeness. I think Yosemite is one of them, Skinwalker Ranch, Dulce, New Mexico, where the underground base is. I think there's quite the Hernandez Ranch. Cat just put her teeth on me. What are you doing? Come here. Come here. Come here. Yes, see? The big distraction. Of course, I wear a black shirt and have a white cat, but black is slimming. So yeah, Area 50. There's all sorts of areas. It seems like every state, every section. Anza Borrego out down here in Southern California seems to have a place of high strangeness. My ex-wife residence is one of them. Yeah, you want to stay out of there at all cost. So anyway, I thought it was a very good documentary. It was short. It wasn't maybe like an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, worth watching. It was a good update. Not a lot of new news. I guess it got sold. The original, the Sherman Ranch or Gorman Ranch, and then it got sold to NIDS in the 90s, which is Robert Bigelow, private billionaire, took it, and they underdid a big study to try to figure out this stuff. And things I've been saying for years, lo and behold, science doesn't do a very good job, because science is all about repeatability, and the paranormal seems to be intelligently controlled in a lot of these situations, and it won't let you repeat it, which is part of the core things. Especially, I know we talk a lot about Sasquatch and the broader paranormal subject, but it really seems to be science doesn't really work with these creatures. Either there's some kind of a extra dimensional entity, some kind of a force that powers these. What's the name of the documentary? Sorry, I get distracted because people are sending me questions. What's the name of the documentary? It's called Don't Call Me Bigfoot, and it's on Amazon. Don't Call Me Bigfoot. You going to make a video about flesh gates at some point? Ooh, that's a term I haven't heard in a long time. Yeah, maybe. In the next few months, things are calming down here. We'll see if I need to put the helmet on and load up the rifles and hide after the election, depending on who gets elected or reelected, and depending on what the stock market's going to do, depending on quite a lot of things. So I think January 1st is kind of a good date to hit things full bore. I've got some personal stuff going on that I'm kind of wrapping up now. Lo and behold, I might actually have to get a real job. That's such a bummer. Yeah, anyway, so back to Skinwalker Ranch, Hunt for the Skinwalker. Very good film. I suggest you check it out. It was a little bit disappointing because there wasn't a lot of new stuff. Yeah. So the last video I posted was 3-4 weeks ago, was beer reviews up at the cabin. It was just my buddy Pat and I. We're going through a lot of stuff personally. He was going through a shitload of stuff personally. And it was just two dudes taking off for the weekend with a couple of cases of beer. And that's all that trip was. We weren't out there to do any big paranormal investigating. I think I brought like one small pistol and a bolt action rifle. I wasn't looking for trouble. And lo and behold, that night we were on the porch and I took my little Streamlight flashlight, 350 lumens, bright little light for as big as it is. And I'm shining it down from the porch from where the property, because it's all kind of on a slope going downhill. And towards the bottom of the property, where the fence line is, the neighbor's yard, I caught a eye shine. And they were kind of a whitish yellow eye shine, and it was staring back. And of course, it's right about 100, 125 yards, just at the very edge range of the flashlight. And I had quite a few beers at this point, and I'm in like flip-flops and shorts. The fires were scary. There was literally about a fire about 2 miles away. In fact, the day after we left, there was a mandatory evacuation for Springville. And that Sunday morning when we left, the wind had changed and smoke had blown over. So I think a lot of animals and things were displaced. Now, I'm not saying it was Bigfoot, but we could follow this eye shine and it was staring right back. We were Googling, trying to figure out what type of eye shine it is, from the head bob and the way it was swinging back and forth, and the way when we'd shine at it, its eyes would kind of sink down, not look away, but sink down, and it would kind of move around. I would have tried to film it, except it was at night, and I think I had an iPhone with us because, like I said, we weren't up there for an expedition. We were just up there to hang out for a couple days and drink some beer. And so I think I had my little Glock 19 in my waistband, and I was out there shining a light at this thing, and Pat's getting nervous because he's at the porch by himself. I thought, at a very brief moment, I thought I saw the faint outline of what looked like ears. I think it was a bear, which are bears up there, black bears. He thought it might have been a mountain lion. Upon Googling eye shine, I think it was pretty close to what bear eye shine was. But yeah, we couldn't really make out what it was. And a half hour later, we'd look out into the darkness and we'd see that eye shine staring back at us. A little bit creepy. So the story is, yeah, I had a gun and flashlights and a camera, but I didn't have the right gun. I didn't have the right flashlight. I wasn't wearing my boots. It was like 105 during the day and like 95 at night. So we weren't really like dressed to go tromping through the woods. So it's just one thing about, not that a bear is paranormal, but when things happen, it's always when you least expect it and when you're not ready for it. So that's always a lesson. I've got plenty of bright flashlights. I've got plenty of weapon mounted lights. And I've since bought a really nice new Surefire. I've got an X300 on my Glock 17, and my AR-15's got a M600 Surefire 1000 lumens. If I had my AR-15 with that 1000 lumen light on it, that's like a beam of daylight cutting through. I would have saw what it was clearly. So yeah, it was very interesting to see. It kind of freaked us out a little bit. We were doing beer reviews with our porch facing. Yeah, I have an LMT AR-15 and Glock 19. I have I have an LMT 308 and LWRC AR-15, Remington 700, a couple of Kimbers, some Smith & Wesson. I got a pile of guns. Anyway, I only buy nice stuff. What's your favorite cryptid? That's a tough one. Dogman scares me the most, but Bigfoot I think I know the most about, so he's probably my favorite. Anyway, so it's just one of those lessons I wanted to pass on to you guys. Always be prepared. If you find a good flashlight on sale, buy it. Always, have your boots nearby. If you're with a buddy and you know how to use guns and they don't know how, it might be a good idea to train them on how to use them at the very least proficiently, where they can load and unload it and be safe with it. How to put the front sight on the target and pull the trigger. Just that kind of stuff to have a backup. Because I was basically tromping out in the bush in my flip-flops and shorts, trying to figure out what this eye shine was. And Pat was, 50 yards behind me on the porch. And there's a porch light pretty bright. And I just said, Pat, at this point, yell at me if something's coming up behind. That's all it was. Just watch my back. So after the beer reviews, our backs were facing towards the woods. We turned the chairs around and pushed them towards the house so we could see if anything was coming. Typical stuff at the property. When I'm all tacticaled out and tromping through the bush and go out looking for it, I don't see anything. But when I'm, taking a leak on a tree, that's when stuff happens. And, going back to the Skinwalker Ranch stuff, it's just there's no predictability or repeatability of this stuff. I think in the Pacific Northwest and some places on the East Coast, there's such high like in Texas, East Texas, there's such high concentrations of Sasquatch. And I've heard stories of Washington State that you can literally go down this road, park your car, go quarter mile down this hiking trail, and there's Sasquatch. I've talked to a number of people who can repeatedly go and find these creatures. I think in California, we're so vast and there's so many people that even the remote areas of California, have cars pass through. These things are very familiar with humans. I think they're very less vocal here. So do you think some cryptids are at all related to paranormal? Yes, it's kind of what I'm saying. I had an encounter. Ooh, this looks like a good one. I had an encounter with one of those pale crawler humanoids, rake-like creature, not night crawler. Night crawlers are something different, yes. It's creepy, but honestly, I still think the Dogman would be scarier. I thank God I haven't seen one. Those rake creatures freak me out because a Dogman is big in muscles and teeth, and you expect him to be freakishly strong, ferocious, being able to bite through your arm kind of stuff. But the rake seems to be like ungainly, like a skinny white creature wouldn't be strong, but they are. And the way they move is unnatural, and they don't fit with anything. They don't move quite like a human. They're crazy. I really stay away from those rake creatures. But whenever I'm out in the woods, especially, I go armed everywhere. Always have your phone or a camera on you, even if there's no reception. Always go with somebody else. Have your GPS on your phone turned on at the very least. Tell somebody where you're going, where you're coming back. You don't want to be a missing 411 and being eaten by one of these creatures. And it was a pretty good lesson that, even when you're just mildly prepared with guns and flashlights, I still felt unprepared. I believe it's Psionics. They make a color night vision camera. And it's not like the white phosphor or green phosphor Gen 2 or Gen 3 night vision you usually see. This is a handheld camcorder. It does day and night, but it has actual color night vision. and it's really cool. People are putting them on their helmets. You can mount them up behind a rifle sight. You can use them just like a camcorder. They're like 5, 6, $700, which isn't ridiculous, especially for a nice camera in general. But this one does nighttime. Because I'm going to get a buddy of mine. If I get this camera, I want to get a buddy of mine and go back to Black Star Canyon. I want to go down to the Back Bay in Newport Beach and look around down there. I want to go all sorts of different places. And, there's a bunch of things I want to do. And part of the problem you have is, hey, Mike, good to see you. Mike in Manitoba. One thing that you find out real quick is if you have a pistola and a handheld flashlight and a camera, you don't have three hands. So you gotta like have a buddy with you. And I do have weapon mounted lights, but it's the old rule. I don't necessarily want to point a gun at everything I'm shining my light on. So it's like you have handheld light and then you have a flashlight or your camera. And then it's like, well, I've got my gun, and even if that has a light on it, so you really need two people to do this kind of stuff. I guess it's going to look pretty dorky if I'm in more urban areas, but I think in that Psionics night vision camera, they have a lot of helmet mounts or head mounts. I can mount it on a helmet, so I could have one eye in reality, one eye amplified, and record, but I can still have my hands free to maybe work a flashlight on... work a white light, work an infrared light, which is like a flashlight you can only see through night vision, or work a weapon light. So I think I might have to go to some kind of handheld thing for solo expeditions. Other than that, I got to talk a friend of mine from going out here. The good news is it's a really hot day today, but we have a cool down. It's just been so bloody hot that I haven't wanted to hit any trails and been busy personally. So yeah, that's kind of update you guys. Been busy in my personal life, been house shopping, which I think we're going to kind of lay off for a while. Yeah. Oh, good to see you too, buddy. Lots of people sending me messages. We're up to 49, not too bad. I know I've been blackballed by YouTube. I got to figure out, it's really easy. I'm just so untech savvy, and it's like one of those things where I know I could learn. I just don't care. Where you do that thing where, yeah, Aaron, it's like Hawaii without Mai Tais. It's hot, it's humid, and I'm sick of it. It's supposed to be fall already, you know? I've got my jacket. I ordered new pants. I did some, winter shopping, and I'm all ready for it to be like cold outside. And I'm like, crap, it's still like 95 today. Need some Matt Squatch merch. Well, there should be a link in there to buy some of my shirts. A few people have bought them. Isn't this about the Skinwalker? Well, that was the first part of it I was talking about. A live stream's like a newscast. It was one story I talked about. So, hi, move up here. Yeah, my wife said, yeah, we can move out of state. We can't move anywhere there's snow. I'm like, well, okay, that eliminates 40 of the 50 states. And a lot of the states that, are, have warm areas also get snow too. So I've talked her into like Prescott or maybe some areas that maybe get like a dusting of snow. She might do that, but she doesn't want to deal with like winter. And I don't blame her anyway. It gets down in the 60s and I'm cold because I spent my whole life living out here in the desert. Anyway, it's just so ridiculously expensive to try to live down here. Yeah, so the Skinwalker stuff happened the first part of the live stream. You can pause this live stream and go back to the beginning to get to the parts that I've talked about that. Do you know about shadow people? Yes. Many years ago, I had a couple of encounters with shadow people, and I'll tell you guys my shadow people story. It was when we were going through, sorry, my nose is itchy. I think I got a cat hair up my nose. Thanks, Thumb. That's my one cat. Anyway, I was probably 2006, 2007 when I was working at the haunted building. I did a series of videos talking about it. I don't think I shared this story, though. It was one of those nights working graveyard. You start at 10:30 at night. You get off at 7 in the morning. And I think I got off work. I was exhausted. Slept a little bit and stayed up. And then it was my night off. So I actually went to bed at a somewhat reasonable hour at like midnight or 1 or something like that. And I just remember waking up in the middle of the night. This is back when I rented a room, way before I was married. And I just remember seeing this black creature like boom, boom, boom. Like that kind of pause, like you're looking through a fan blade or like film running slow, where it was like this black figure, it looked like a ring wraith, like a black hooded figure, just appear by the door and then just like pause and disappear and get closer and closer, and eventually it was standing over the bed. And I'm laying there in bed, and this is when I think some paranormal activity followed me home. And this black ring wraith creature, it like floated up over the bed, and then it turned into the ceiling, and then it was like these black spirals, like a yin and yang type thing, swirling into the ceiling, and it disappeared. And I was like, pinch. I was awake. It was very much freaked me out. I think I slept the rest of the night with the lights on. And if you've seen those stories about the paranormal stuff that I was going through back then, it kind of fits. And at the time, you're just so bloody dead exhausted. You like open the window to hear the street lights and the sounds and people coming and going, and you turn a light on, like a desk lamp or something to have enough light. You put the gun next to the bed and you're just like, fuck. And you just go back to sleep and try to I was so exhausted. And anyway, yeah, so that was my shadow person encounter, and I haven't had anything since. Anyway, let's see what else we are. Those are dead souls. I always thought maybe shadow people or orbs maybe were like people who are remote viewing. I think the orbs might be people who are remote viewing, like a disembodied soul. When people come here. The other cat's coming over. Like orbs. See, this is the fat one. This is the calico. Say hi, Daphne. She ain't happy to be up here. You came over. So, yeah, I always thought maybe that like the orbs people see are like a disembodied soul or something like that. Maybe shadow people are souls that stayed behind on this earth, but are up to nefarious means. Maybe there's some kind of a spy, something from another dimension that hasn't quite materialized all the way. Anyway, I saw a shadow person on the beach, oddly enough, one night. It was well over 10 feet tall and approached me in seconds. I ran home. Yeah, that would be scary. I've seen weird stuff down by the beach too. Growing up in Newport Beach down there, we go with our buddies at night, or you'd be at somebody's house down by the peninsula or in Huntington or something, and you just see weird stuff. Like you'd be driving or riding your bike, and you'd see something down by the water, and it would be, oh, that looks like somebody wearing a black hoodie, and then you'd look back and it would be gone. And I remember one day seeing something like that, where it was a person in a black hoodie, looked like they were just standing out by the water, and you're not supposed to be at the beach at night. I know me and my buddies would, we go down to the water or something like that, and the cops would show up and spotlight you and say, get out of there. Yeah, it looked like this tall, skinny guy wearing like a black hoodie. That's where I lived, on 15th Street. Wow, that very well could be exactly where I saw it. And I remember I was riding my bike, and it wasn't that late. It was probably 9:30, 10, but I think it was, when it got darker earlier. And I look over, and I see this tall, skinny black thing, and then I look back, and it was gone, and I thought, oh, I must have just imagined it, looked up at a light and had a spot. And then it was like 100 yards down the beach, like it had teleported. And then when I looked and I saw it, and I was riding, kind of paying attention, and when I look over, like I looked away and it was gone, and it was really weird. It's funny, down by the peninsula, and there's all sorts of boat accidents and people who die swimming, and just it happens everywhere in life. I mean, I think if any house or apartment or neighborhood or area is old enough, somebody at some point has died there. And some of them happen, under not great circumstances. The street out by my house, one of these nights I'm going to walk out there with my phone. 2019, early 2019, mid 2019, a guy got stabbed. And this is a really peaceful neighborhood in Tustin where we are. A guy got stabbed, and he was walking along the sidewalk, and this punk, came up to him, asked him for money and stuff, and I guess he refused and said that whatever. Then the guy stabbed him and left him to bleed out, and he died. There's a bunch of roses and a candlelight thing. And then earlier this year, I won't say April, maybe June, July, a young lady, I think 18, 19 years old, and maybe still in high school, just out of high school, got hit crossing the street. And this was the middle of COVID when there was no traffic around. And, all these kids showed up and were out there praying, and there was a big funeral, and it was a big thing about all this stuff of people getting, all these people out there paying respects. Yeah, so it just, it's everywhere around you. And I think it's kind of like, I used to tell the story when my daughter was, I don't know, 7, 8 months old, kind of up and awake and could sit up but not really walking or crawling yet. She was in the living room, and there's a corner of my house by the front door where her closet is. And I look over, I'm watching TV or whatever, playing on my phone, and one of my cats is just staring at the corner. I look over at my other cat. She's sitting on a couch or something, and she's just staring at the corner. And I look over at my daughter, who's in her little bouncer, and she's over there just like playing away, doing her thing, goo goo gaga, baby, poop my pants stuff. And then she's just freezes and looking. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and it's kind of to my back, like off behind me. And I'm like, what are you guys looking at? I think my wife was asleep or something. And I was just like, what are you guys looking at? And I turned around and I don't see anything, but they're all just transfixed staring at the corner. And I remember I actually said out loud, hey, move on, buddy. There's nothing for you here. Because I was exhausted taking care of a baby or something. But I mean, stuff's there if you can just see it. Whatever. Yeah, lots of little stories like that. All right, let's go take a look at some questions. Have you ever heard of people putting their dog's eye burglars on their own eyes, whatever time of the night they supposedly see whatever their dogs can see, invisible to humans? I don't know about that. There are stories of UFO picking up Bigfoot and Dogman and leaving. They might travel across space and visit planets for this reason. Yeah, get bent, pal. Yeah, I was in no mood to be paranormal hero that night. So, yeah, I've heard lots of stories about Bigfoot, Dogman, and UFO interactions. I think maybe that's one theory. I think with the Skinwalker Ranch, when they would see a UFO would appear or lights would appear, I think it was some kind of portal opening to another dimension. And I think sometimes Dogman and the big wolf creature they saw and Bigfoot and these orbs, like I think the door was open, like a toll booth or something, and the craft would go through, the intelligence would go through, and these other creatures are like, thank you, and would go on through, whether the creatures themselves had control over these portals. I almost feel like that they were following them through, and I think that was kind of some of the mystery of Skinwalker Ranch there. Anyway, let's see if we can find other questions. Saint Eater, that's a great name. Areas negativities have more demonic entities. Yes. It seems like used to live in a trap house when I was younger in CA. There was a shadow people I've noticed, and they always like to hang out in areas of lots of negativity. Yeah, I don't know if my front door is a negative area, but I catch my cat staring over there all the time. Maybe it's you come home all, pissed off or something from work. Do you think any of these creatures are alien? I think they have an alien connection, either through engineering or some other type source. Matt Squatch, do you believe in alien shapeshifters? I've seen a lot of those videos where they have like, I won't name names, but like, well, one of the common ones you see, not that I'm saying I believe she is, but like Hillary or Obama, and they look over there and her eye appears to blink or turns yellow for a second. I mean, there's so many artifacts that can happen in digital media and lights reflecting off there. Donald Trump, every politician you've ever seen, there's some video of proof that they're a reptilian alien or something, and it's either been, altered or it's some kind of a light reflecting, or you got to remember people take pictures of these people. It could be a flash or something. Anything's possible. The shit I've seen and the stuff I've heard and the things people have experienced who have told me who I believe. Alien shapeshifter? Yeah, maybe it's something kind of like the old witches when they would have a glamour. When an old witch could look young or look like somebody else, or a familiar where their cat could look like a dog or something. Some kind of a cover-up or something like that. Yeah, 99% of it proof is nonsense. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of clickbaity stuff. I kind of don't go for it. People send, you just can't help but see it, especially when you follow all the weird stuff I do on Instagram. People send me that things. I got friends of mine, very good people. I love them to death, but they're really obsessed with flat Earth. And and I just don't buy it. They're always sending me pictures of like, let's see this footage from outer space. So you can see the shape looks domed. And I'm like, from what I've heard from people who I can't divulge their information, Flat Earth was one of those conspiracy theories that was put out by agencies who actually have real conspiracy theories and real conspiracies and real things going on. Agencies and organizations that are trying to cover stuff up. And it was one of those things that they put out there because I don't think it was. We'll take the moon landing, for example. Oh, the moon landing was faked. Kubrick shot it. And, if you look at The Shining, there's all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. From what I've heard from insiders is that we went to the moon. Some footage was faked, but we actually did go to the moon, and we were asked to leave by extraterrestrials. That's what I heard. Flat Earth, no. Hollow Earth, yeah, I can get behind that, especially the cave systems, underground bases, and stuff like that. Flat Earth, I mean, you fly from LA to Australia going, southwest, but you could get there going southeast. How does that work with the flat Earth? That when you look at the horizon, when you're down by the ocean, okay, this is how I can prove it. When you're down by the ocean, look at the ocean. When you're down on the beach with your feet in the sand with the water next to you, you look at the horizon. The white blue will look about this big. Go up on the pier, go up on a hill or a cliff half a mile away. Fashion Island's a good place because they have that overlook of the ocean. The ocean looks this big. That's because if it was flat, it would be one continuous view. But if the Earth is curved, as you raise in elevation, you will see more of that curve, which is why the high ground is so important. But yeah, anyway, the whole flat Earth thing, I heard that it was a conspiracy that was contracted by people, thought up by people trying to discredit other people. Because I could tell you about the moon landing, I could tell you about Sasquatch, I could tell you about a 9/11 conspiracy and have a lot of proof, have a lot of evidence, and I could probably sell you on a lot of it. I could show you a lot of different stuff. But when I throw it out there to the average person and say, yeah, the Earth is flat, that kind of makes them check out and dismiss everything else you've said. So I think that's what I've heard. I mean, I could be wrong. Earth could be flat. Are there secrets about this Earth and this universe that they aren't telling us, the governments know about, UN knows about? Oh, of course. There's probably all kinds of crap. Lunar eclipse. Yeah, and why would every other planet and moon be round and we would be flat? I guess we would be a disk. So depending on how that... Anyway. You're free to believe what you want. If you think yours flat, that's fine. I respect that. I just am not sold. So, yeah, one I can get behind is underground bases. Underground bases, dumbs. I'm going to do a whole video on that. Earth is a big Dorito. Doritos. Processed, artificial, smashed, covered in MSG and artificial flavoring tortilla chips. Gotta love Doritos, especially when you're drunk. Oh man, dozen beers and some Doritos. Nom, 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 nom. We've heard about other things in UFOs from Transylvania. Oh, Pennsylvania. Yeah, actually Pennsylvania. On my channel a while back, there was a dogman encounter from Pennsylvania. Young lad came to me when he was out hunting, and this thing was just standing perfectly still staring at him. And... what about the moon being hollow? I believe that. I believe there's a reason why it's in geosequence orbit where we only ever see one side. But yes, there's lots of stuff in Pennsylvania. Lots of wooded areas out there. Please click the like button for Matt. Or give me a thumbs down. Tell me what you think. Do you maybe know where Mountain Beast Mysteries? Any news? You know what? Mountain Beast Mysteries... there's a number of podcasts that I've either been a guest on or know... that when I look for their page, Fistful of Jokes, there's a number of podcasts that like, hey, I haven't heard about anything for those whiles. Their Instagram account is deleted. I can't find their YouTube channel. It's not that they stopped making content. It's like all their stuff got deleted anyway. I have no idea. They say it rang like a bell. I have seen something similar. If we can get aliens hooked on coffee and MSG-laced chips, we'll probably become the dominant species. Yeah, maybe that's where MSG came from. Monosodium glutamate. Maybe it's something like Diet Coke and Velcro. It came from an alien civilization. Technology, man. To keep us all fat and happy and drunk. Matt Squatch, do you at least believe in Men in Black? At least. Of course I believe in the Men in Black. Of course I believe in multiple alien species and extra dimensionals and every kind of cryptid you can imagine. And that aliens are on the backside of the moon spying on us and the Black Knight satellite is really a harbinger of doom. And I believe a lot of that stuff. Just the flat earth one, I can't get behind. I'm not sold. I'm really not. You look back ancient civilizations like Greeks and Egyptians and stuff, and they knew the earth was round, You guys ever done any night filming on Superstition Mountain area? No, but it's one of the areas I would love to go. I think one of the things, they modified wheat in the 1960s to act as an opiate for humans. Yeah, I'm currently doing wheat-free, gluten-free thing, kind of paleo keto. Basically, I'm just eating meat and vegetables and some fruit, and I feel much better. I've kind of just stopped eating carbs. I only drink one night a week now. At some point, you got to grow up, I guess. But oh man, cheeseburger and fries sounds good. Yeah, I feel better. I have like less bloat and everything like that. I'm still pretty fat. It's only been like a couple weeks. I go on and off of this. The thing is, when you eat meat and vegetables all the time and fruit, it's expensive. It's very expensive. So that's the thing. It's like we live on a budget. I'm very good with my money. One thing I've always wanted to do is have a series of videos about money. I'm completely debt free, paid off our house, own 3 cars paid for, have an emergency fund, investments, and we do it by being cheap asses, And I'd love to I know it's nothing to do with it, but one of the things I'm passionate about is money, because so much of this life is gauged about if you win with money, you win with life. And, paying for my daughter's college, my retirement, I want to be a multimillionaire every time I'm retiring, how to do that stuff. And on another note, this kind of goes along with what we were saying about the aliens created Doritos to keep us fat and happy. The American consumer, I'll get your Dark Waters questions in a second. And then Rock Apes. Boy, some good ones here. The whole money thing is, for me, it's kind of one of those things where, as Americans, we're the fat American consumers. We got to have a new car every few years and finance it and have a $500 a month payment. We have to pay rent to pay somebody else. We have to go get new clothes and new shoes every few months. We have to buy good name brand stuff. We have to have a ginormous TV. And we have to have all this debt and push debt off. People finance their vacation. People finance their dog. People finance their mattress. I'm on Amazon looking at curtains and TVs and household appliances, and would you like to finance this? And I'm like, no, I would not. Basically, I'm never going to borrow money for anything ever again. And it's a great feeling when you pay off a car and you pay off a mortgage. It's a great feeling. Anyway, I think that's part of the thing, American consumerism, beholding, what are you buying? 90% of the shit you buy from China, Anyway. Matt Squatch, you're beautiful. The way we love you, bro. We love you. Thanks. I love you guys too. It's nice on a Friday night to have all my online friends. Dark Waters. I've never contacted Dark Waters. He's never contacted me. I like his work. I think the last time I checked, he kind of slowed down quite a bit. I think he was doing a lot of Patreon stuff. He had a lot of stuff like, I've heard allegedly that he produced as real, but never came out and said that they were fictitious or that they were events inspired by real events, or not saying that he made stuff up blatantly, but he wasn't always clear where a lot of his stories came from. Anyway, I think he's a fantastic storyteller. He sets the mood. Dogman's what put him on the map. I have a big respect for Dark Waters. He's a great entertainer. And I think if you look everywhere, I know I have a Reddit page and I've never looked at it and I don't want to look at it. So, there's good and bad stuff said about everything. I've heard horrible things about me. Kiss my ass. So it's just one of those things where Dark Waters, yeah, if he said, hey, call up and do a show about a dog man, I'd love to tell you some encounters and get your feedback or something. Hell yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Pretty much anybody. There's only been like 3 or 4 times in my life I've ever turned down a podcast, and that was only a scheduling thing. You know the Bob Gimlin YouTube channel? Yes, I do. We've emailed back and forth several times. It's funny because he started off, "Hi, I'm Bob Gimlin," and in my response, I said, "Good evening, Bob Gimlin." Uh, we all have our gimmicks, and he's a great storyteller. Fred Dunn, his animator, who does all the cards and stuff. He does a great job. I love Bob Gimlin to death. He asked me a while back if I could do a video on the 10 types of Sasquatch, and I said, absolutely, I don't own it. It's not rights. I mean, if you blatantly copy word for word my video, that's one thing. But yeah, you want to talk about 10 types of Sasquatch or the 4 types or whatever you want, have at it. In fact, I would love to see a full production done of that. Much better than I've done. I don't, you know, he has a. I don't think I've ever seen it on YouTube. If you ever did the 10 types of Sasquatch, I don't honestly spend that much time on YouTube anymore watching those kind of videos. My daughter spends a lot of time on YouTube watching cat videos. It's just been life. I'm trying to get more back into it. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of political stuff, and I won't get political here, but I have my shows that I watch every day, trying to get a handle, not even so much that I'm into this political party or that political party. I'm just trying to get a deeper understanding of where we're headed and what candidates mean what. And if I don't like this guy, but I like his policy, but I like this guy and don't like his policy, and local California, and then even local at a county level, and then even in Orange County, we're fairly conservative, where LA County is very liberal. Just local politics, trying to get a handle and figure out what's going on. So I watch a lot of political stuff without getting too much into one side or the other. But yeah, Bob was good. He went off the rails, so to speak. Not fond of the stories thing. I haven't watched him in a long time. How about the Cryptid Studies Institute? I've never heard of them. I'll have to check them out. If there's anything you guys want to send me, like, dude, Matt, you gotta, Mogion Monster, what's up? Like, dude, Matt, you gotta see this video or check this story out. Send it to me, mattsquatchpresents@gmail.com. Yeah. Bob Gimel and Matt Squatch team up would be epic. I would love to do it. Matt, get in touch with Marvin Allen. I have no idea who that is, but he can email me and I would get a hold of him. I stopped all news in March. Life is so much better with zero news. Yeah, we trade one addiction for another, I guess. So I really like here in California, you have KFI AM radio. They have pretty good shows and stuff on there, but it's just hard news. It's just like President Trump had a rally in December. Biden went on the campaign trail here. 3-car accident in the left lane. There's an investigation going on. It's just straight news, and I love that. There's no spin. I mean, some of the guys on their shows, some of their presenters on their shows obviously put their spin. But yeah, I mean, I just, straight news. I love to consume. I'm up every night on Wikipedia reading. I'm up every night on articles reading stuff. I find, different stuff, be at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm reading about theoretical physics or how a atom bomb works versus a neutron bomb versus, a gun type versus an implosion type. And I'm like, why am I reading about how nuclear weapons work? Anyway, I just go off and just consume info, and I think it's pressing other info out, kind of like that old Married with Children with Kelly Bundy. She learned something and it pushes something else out. Anyway, guys, you got some questions. Good to see you. Marvin reads stories for Vic Cundiff. Vic Cundiff, he now has his own channel on Dogman. Oh, cool. Yeah, I went around with Vic a while back. Vic's a cool guy. I think he has some great encounters. It's straight across. He's essentially like the Sasquatch Chronicles for Dogman. He's a good guy, and he has good show productions and quality and everything else. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of interest in his stories, I guess. I mean, I do, but there's so much other stuff, and there's only so many hours in a day that I don't listen to a lot of Vic Cundiff, but he's great, I guess. Good night, everyone. Good night, Dylan. I was going to ask about as well, because I have tons of hours from driving at night on the road, what to do next. With all those hours, I've captured some interesting footage. Well, you can send them to me, mattsquatchpresents@gmail.com, but I'm warning you, if you were driving and you filmed something and you didn't see anything at the time, and then after the fact you saw some shadow that maybe could kind of be something, but you didn't see it at the time, I'm like, okay, I have a hard time with those. If you see something, like I saw an 8-foot tall Sasquatch over there, and when I filmed it, it didn't come out great on film, but you have a verifying story to this blob, that I accept. Or if you have really good footage, send it to me anyway, or stills or whatever. We can share it privately. If you want me to make it into a video, I will. If you just want to show it to me individually, that's fine as well. Yeah, but send me your stuff. Matt, as a last resort, do you think a strong taser would work on a Bigfoot? Yeah, I mean, as a last resort, yeah, especially the tasers that, it's a stun gun that's up close and it's the tasers that shoot the prongs. I think it would be better than nothing, especially if it's coming at you to pick you up and carry you off, or it's carrying off someone else and you can get it with a stun gun. You can shoot it with a stun gun. I mean, they have a nervous system like us. At the very least, it would probably get him to stop what he's doing. But keep shocking him and run away and find a real gun. I think it would piss it off. Oh, it's going to piss it off. That's why I'm saying you better use your stun gun. It better be life or death, like somebody's being mauled by a Sasquatch and you need them to stop. Thick hair. Some Sasquatches reported with thick hair, other ones not so much. But yeah, I mean, it would be better than nothing in a weapon of last resort. I think bear spray would be way, way more effective. Like shooting a grizzly with a 22. Well, it's funny because there's a lot of Inuits up in around the Arctic Circle that hunt polar bears with 22s. Watching a documentary. They have a Ruger 1022 and it's the cheapest rifle they can. Yeah, they got to shoot the bear 30 or 40 times. Oh, but they shoot it in the head, they shoot it in the eye, they shoot it in the neck, and the thing bleeds out and dies. And I'm like, holy crap, they're hunting bears with a 22? Not ideal, not ideal. Honestly, I think I would have bear spray or even civilian pepper spray before, because you got to remember Sasquatch. Really, its vision is number one. Its smell, its taste, all the same things on a human. Just think a human bigger. 30-06 would do the job with all copper rounds, buddy. You got to shoot GMX or TMX bullets. You got to have a very deep, penetrating, all copper round that doesn't fragment and plow through. Buffalo boar makes good stuff. How about an air horn? Yeah, it would probably startle them, but I don't think it would stop them. I think bear spray is a pretty good alternative for people that don't like guns. Hey, okay, buddy. Eddie Smith. Oh, Edward Teach, the old pirate, showed up. We got to get together sometime, Ed. Text me, buddy. I got a lot of stuff to catch up with. Hunting bears with a 22s, that's some balls. Yeah, those guys are... Legit, how you think the stories of government cover-up types covering up the cryptids encounters and shutting people up. I think it's 100% legitimate because I've talked to people that it's happened to them. And I've had strange things with some of my content and videos and things that have happened in the past. I've been out in the woods and helicopters have flown over, and hiking trails that I said I was on this channel that I was going to go to that I know were open, that when I go there are closed. There's stuff. I mean, I don't think they keep that close of tabs on me. I don't think they really care. I think if I had proof, if I had good photos or videos or DNA or something, they would be all over me. But right now I'm just some idiot talking about Bigfoot mostly. So I think they kind of leave me alone. But yeah, there's a definite cover up. Ed Smith, I'll be back in town for my birthday next week. I'll get a hold of you, my friend. Definitely. Matt, can you trap a dog man with poison or a tracker? Now, the problem with... You guys ever see the show Dr. Oakley? It's on the Disney Channel, and she has a show. It's a Yukon vet. She's up in, I think, Northwest Canada. She does a lot of work in Canada and Alaska. Moose, grizzly bear, mountain lions, horses, dogs, wolves, every kind of critter, domestic, wild, or otherwise, caribou, that she tranquilizes, bulls for breeding, whatever. And she spends, a lot of these animals, you have to tranquilize them. She uses a blowgun, or she has a dart gun, or if it's tame enough, she walks up with a syringe and tranquilizes. And one thing I learned from that show is she's gotten really good at estimating. This bull is 1,000 pounds, 1,200 pounds. I need so many cc's of so many other drugs. So she'll do this thing, and you'll see her tranquilize one, passes out, she does her procedure. She tranquilizes another one, passes out. Then she gets to another one, it's the same size as the other one, and this guy will not go down. She has to double the dose. So I think with a dog man, being that they would have a really high metabolism, and I think it would be very hard because certain species don't respond well to certain anesthesia drugs like other ones do. I think if you shot it with a tranquilizer, you would have to have enough dosage be over, but not enough to kill it because you could kill one. And I think you would have to be very fast acting. And I think you'd have to have peoples with rifles as a backup. And remember, Dogman's travel in pack. So I think it would have to be one of those things where you'd have to passively do it, like slipping a Mickey, so to speak. Like I think you'd have to have some kind of a poisonous treat for it. Not poisonous, but something with a sedative and a treat. Or if you darted it, you'd have to do it from a rooftop or from a truck or something. Or some kind of a booby trap where it hit like a wire or something and it shot it with a dart. I don't think you could Dogman go solo. Some do. Sometimes they're seen in a pack. You'd have to do something kind of passively because I think if you darted one of these things, it could be in your grill so fast. In fact, they have that problem with the grizzly bears. They have to do it from like trucks or tree stands or something else. And a Dogman, I would give a lot more credit than a grizzly bear. So you have to be very careful if you're going to try to tranquilize a Dogman or a Bigfoot or a Sheepsquatch or anything else. Hello, Matt. Hi from Idlewild. Hey, my old stomping grounds. Hi, Idlewild. Cynocephaly, well documented in history record. Yes, I've done videos on it in the past. And it seems to be different phenomenons with the Dogman. Like there seems to be a body of a man, normal hands, everything else, but with the head of a dog, to like an upright walking dog, to like somewhere in between where it's got like chest and arms like a human, but with claws and vicious fangs, but it has more like a dog leg, with the hocks kind of turned backwards like that. So there's kind of everything in between, which is really interesting. Dogmen live in packs too, same as Bigfoot. Yeah, I think it's a lot like, there might be lone wolves. There might be young ones that get shoved out of their pack or their clan. Maybe the old grumpy ones go off and live by themselves. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway. Hey, Bronzini. Matt, do you believe in small goblins? Yeah, I do. I think that if you look at all the stories of elves and gnomes and goblins, and some seem to be some kind of water spirit or land spirit, and then you have the little people type Sasquatch, the little 1 and 2 foot tall, little tiny miniature Sasquatch creatures. Are you familiar with Beyond Creepy channel? Yeah, I've heard of them. I don't watch much of them. Anyway, so yeah, I do believe there's something in folklore. Now, if they're more of a natural creature, something interdimensional, something demonic, some kind of a demonic entity taking the form, yeah, I don't know. But I fully believe when you look at many different cultures having something very similar to elves, gnomes, fairies and pixies and all that kind of stuff, Do you think Sasquatch are bacteria? No, I'm sure they're susceptible to bacteria. Dogman's bones can't be thicker than an elephant. No, they can't. And if you look at a dog, they're fairly light. There's kind of like you think mountain lions and dogs. Honestly, it doesn't take much of a caliber to kill like a mountain lion or even a real lion because they're really thin skinned. They're not built like a rhino or an elephant with layers of fat and 2 or 3 inch thick skin with big, heavy, thick bones. They're lightweight because they have to run. They have to run long distances or speed. You can't have everything unless you're Sasquatch, I guess. You can run really fast and be really big, but you can't do it for long. So if you want to run for a long time and be strong, you're going to give up some of that bulk and protection. So Dogman, being very big, a scaled up dog would be incredibly tough, I think. And I think there's a lot of fortitude that goes along with a Dogman as well. So you can't underestimate that, the will to survive and live. But yeah, as far as physicality, I think they're very big and strong, but I don't think they have particularly big skin or layers of fat or particularly tough hide. Versus where I think you get into Sasquatch and there's a lot more thick muscle, fat, fur, denser bone structure. Matt, Israel and 9/11. Oh, that's a touchy subject. Um, when they were dancing in the street, it's definitely interesting. And I don't know if I believe everything that's out there. Maybe they had a hand in it. I think there's way more to 9/11 than just some terrorist guys hijacked some planes and crashed them into the buildings. Either they were sponsored, they had help, or there was some kind of explosive set in the building to go off. It was some kind of vast conspiracy. I mean, if there's any kind of conspiracy going on in the world, you could pretty much guess the top 10 countries, top five, China, Russia, America, China, Russia, America, Israel, there's kind of your usual suspects of world powers, and Israel's always up there. So there's some kind of grand conspiracy. I could see them being in on it. Dogman is part of Bigfoot. Well, it's definitely always part of the conversation with Bigfoot. And I think a lot of people going out looking for Bigfoot find Dogman. Or people don't know about Dogman and think I saw a creature and think Bigfoot until they realize, maybe that's not what I saw. I think they're different chapters of the same book, if that makes sense. Matt, we should go exploring. I'm an hour from you. Oh, well, send me an email, mattsquatchpresents@gmail.com. Dogman safety tip. Always carry a tennis ball. If faced with aggressive dogman, throw a ball saying, fetch it, and they'll run the other way. Can't resist. I'm going to keep that in mind. Except I'm going to paint my grenade like a tennis ball. Bigfoot has been seen around UFOs before. Yes, they are. It remains left on my doorstep this morning. I can't put my finger on it. What could be leaving it? Some kind of a creature is probably leaving something on your doorstep. I find strange stuff like that, sticks and things, even in the middle of the city where I am. I was driving through Newport Beach the other day. In a drive, I was driving the old Shelby around, went for a late night drive, and I saw a dog run across the street, and I look, and I'm like, that's no dog. And if you look at the belly on this guy, it is a very well-fed coyote. Look at the belly. Oh my God, he was a big fluffy guy. And it's like some guy's yard at like a $5 million house in Newport Beach, and this guy's just blopping along. This was like 9 o'clock at night in Newport Beach. Very well-fed, very fluffy, healthy-looking coyote running right through the middle of a very busy city. This is right by Ensign Middle School, right by the beach. So you never know. Stuff's out there. So yeah, I was just very surprised to see that. Looking for cats, somebody's little yapper dog that's outside. All right, we're going to probably do about an hour here. We're approaching an hour, so we'll wrap up here in a little bit. Whatever happened to that girl with the creature in her yard? Claudia? Claudia, I heard, moved to a different part of the country, and she had stuff on and off, very fascinating. I still go to the trail that she had her encounter on. I want to go back. Maybe I'll go Sunday. She doesn't want me to release where it happened. But one of these days, I'm going to do a follow-up trail to the same area where she had her encounter. It's the same area I got zapped one day up there. And what's this guy? Shapoopy. I would sex dog. Yeah, you got to be pretty desperate. Yes, Dogman eats cats and dogs. Matt, I live in northern Missouri. I've seen wild dogs run around town too. LOL. Kuma Baker said, if you coyotes, you probably have Sasquatch. Well, Newport Beach is probably a stretch. The Back Bay does run all the way through there, and there have been Dogman reports. And if you look where the Back Bay is, you can follow it on the map. It goes all the way down to Newport Beach, Newport Bay, where all these people are. And there's big, wide open areas that are in the Back Bay. It's kind of marsh wetlands, and it goes to a river, Santiago Creek. And Santiago Creek goes all the way to the Santa Ana Mountains, and the Santa Ana Mountains connect all the way to San Diego and go pretty much connecting to like Riverside and Big Bear and a lot of other wild areas. So you could totally just follow one of those areas. You could totally follow one of those streams and channelways. Kind of like here in Tustin, where I am, we have these drainage ditches that run all through the city, these drainage canals. A lot of them are rocks and open, and that's where the coyotes and mountain lions and bobcats are seen in the middle of the city down here. They follow those in at night. They hide in the rocks. Some of them have dens, and it goes all the way up to the mountains, all the way up to Saddleback and those areas and stuff like that. So They can get anywhere if they want to go. So coyotes run through the towns all night. Now in the daytime, that would be another thing. Yeah, in Idlewild, well, that's up in the mountains. We'd see coyotes during the day all the time, and they would just kind of walk by and go sup and keep walking. They didn't care. Um, did you ever figure out what kind of creature it was? With Claudia, I think she had something far more paranormal. I think she had normal Bigfoot creatures that are up in the mountain and pretty well documented through many encounters. But I think she had something else going on. I think she had something demonic following her around. Um, all right. I've rarely seen a coyote during the day in Texas. Yeah, it's not everywhere. Some parts, like in Iowa, like I was saying, you see them every day up there. During the day, there are two or three of them tromp through. Usually be in the morning or afternoon. It wouldn't be like 1 in the afternoon. It would be, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. You'd still see them. Uh, do you ever find a dog man in Ontario, Canada? Yes, but it's Canada, so nobody cares. No, I'm just kidding. Dogman seems to be like, the Michigan Dogman, Vista Bray Roads, and, those are pretty damn cold areas. But it seems like you get past a certain parallel, past the Canadian border, and you do hear Dogman encounters occasionally, but you don't hear that many. It seems to kind of be a little bit lower down. I see them all the time during the day in Laguna and Irvine. Yeah, we have coyotes all the time, and I think there's just so many humans they don't even care anymore. Um, so it seems like, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, they get very, very cold, like minus 20, 30 degrees in those areas, and they have brutal, harsh winters, and they get their dogman reports. But when it gets into Canada, like, I don't know if it's just a different climate, if there's so many Bigfoots that they kind of suppress the dogman, or the winters are so long that they tend to stay out of there, or they're migratory, but I just don't hear that many reports from Canada. I hear a lot of other things. I hear mountain giants and Bigfoot and other such creatures, but I don't really get a lot of dogman reports where it gets super, super cold. So, yeah, Bigfoot and fire. Do they have the capability to make it, or they are afraid? I think they know what fire is. I think they have the ability, but I think it draws too much attention. I think that they've adapted well enough to eat raw meat. I think that they could. Thanks for the question, Ed. Love you, buddy. I think that they've adapted themselves well enough and have a robust digestion and immune system to where they don't have to cook their food. I think they know what fire is. It's kind of the first technology. As smart as these creatures are, problem solving intelligence, they have to know what fire is. They probably know how to make it, but I think they've evolved robust enough to where they don't really use it. Also, it's kind of weird, Sasquatch with tool use. As something as intelligent as these creatures are, you think that there would be more stories of them using tools, and there really aren't. I mean, tree knocking, and occasionally you get a report of one, hitting something with a stick, but you don't really hear them, making spears or making axes or using a cloven rock to chop something. Could they start them as a deterrent or distraction? That's a question I've never heard before, Ed. I got to give you credit. Might not have had that much whiskey yet to come up with that smart of an idea. I wouldn't put it past them. I think they're more about stealth, and that's very overt. I think that they probably know what fire is, but they probably don't mess with it that much. I've also heard stories that there are rules that these things follow behind, that they're not supposed to be photographed, that they aren't to be the dominant species that humans are. Who sets these rules and where they come from? They're not supposed to use technology. They're not really supposed to use tools or directly predate humans, but I think they do, and I think they break the rules, and they're seen clearly all the time. But I think as generally as guidelines, they don't really use fire. You don't hear a lot of... Now, they can open a door handle and relatch, like open a chicken coop, steal a chicken, relatch it, kind of a thing. There's lots of stories of that. And I think they're capable of using technology. I just don't think that... I just think they're so well adapted that they don't. And yeah, it's kind of one of those questions. I really don't know. I'm sure they know what fire is. I'm sure they know it's hot. But I think they're robust enough that maybe they don't, or maybe they've had bad experiences. They know what fire is, and it catches everything else on fire, and they're screwed. I really don't know. Okay. Matt, come to PA. There's some awesome spots near Erie and the Allegheny National Forest. Oh, I've heard lots of stories about the Allegheny National Forest. There's so many states I want to go to. You know, if I was a billionaire and I had lots of free time, I would do it. Makes you wonder where there is no lightning predictions or rain, and some fires seem to start out of nowhere. Yeah, I think there's something. All these wildfires we have in California, a lot of them are arson, and I've seen lightning and thunder, and there being no rain around. I think it's mostly man-made. They could. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they do start backfires. Maybe they do burn things down. I mean, I've never heard of a story of them using or creating fire. I've heard lots of stories of people who have had. Still waiting for you up here, Matt. It's getting too cold. I got to come back when it warms up. Yeah, so I don't know why they would set a fire. Maybe to flush something out. Maybe there's some kind of human, or maybe they're burning some kind of remains or something. Maybe it's a funeral thing. Maybe different subspecies of Sasquatch that are more human-like use fire and some that don't. Yeah, I have no idea. That's a great question, Ed. I don't really envision them burning down the woods. Maybe they had a fire that got out of hand. Yeah, I really don't know. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here. Let's take a couple more questions. Using it to hurt animals when food is scarce? Yeah, maybe. I know a lot of Native Americans did stuff like that. Bigfoots did not cause the recent California fires. They bury their dead. No, I don't think they did cause them. I'm just saying that it's who knows? It's an interesting question of under certain situations, certain circumstances, do they have the ability to make a fire, and can they use it for what they perceive as a benefit? Maybe. They're very intelligent. You think Sasquatch is somewhat related to Gigantopithecus? I know me and you are related to Gigantopithecus. So, yeah, we're all part of the primate subspecies. Do you think Chewbacca was based on Sasquatch? Yeah, there's definitely some influence there. I mean, yeah. I mean, you got to think in the 70s, Sasquatch is well known, but not super well known like it was now. I think, after you make, how many different, especially the very first Star Wars movie, the little guy with no mouth playing a flute and all the weird aliens and stuff they had. I think after a while, they just kind of wanted something humanoid enough, kind of cute, but also still big and scary. It kind of this balance between friendly enough, but still intimidating enough. And I think they came out with a big hairy monster that's very humanoid. But yeah, anyway. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I think they can make fire possibilities. Some sects of Bigfoot, not at all. Some are more animalistic. Yeah, I think some are very primeval, and I think some are very human-like. Anyway, so I'm going to sign off. I want you guys to have a wonderful evening, positive thoughts, take care of each other. Let's all get along. Let's stay safe in the woods. And remember, stay strapped or get clapped out there. Thanks, guys.